Hey everyone, this is your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Today we're going to talk about intimacy, right? We're going to talk about a topic that is very, very powerful and very, very important. Sex is one of the biggest things that marriage causes a marriage to fail, and the bedroom etiquette is one of the most important things that you can expect to cause a relationship to start spiraling out of control. It's one of the key things that you will notice in most failed marriages or most failed relationships is that the intimacy and that ageless sex is dying out, and that passion, that fire, that spark has gone out. And today I have the expert of all experts to talk about this subject, and she is incredible. So stay tuned, stay with us, stay engaged. You won't want to miss 1 second of this powerhouse speaker. Here we go. Hey everybody, it's your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today I have Miss Susan Bratton, the intimate expert to millions, life coach herself. She is one of the champions and biggest advocates for all those who desire intimacy and passion their whole life long. She's a co-founder and CEO of 2 corporations, Personal Life Media Inc., a publisher of heart-connected lovemaking techniques and bedroom communication skills, and the 20 LLC, a manufacturer of organic and botanical supplements that enhance sexual vitality. She's also a best-selling author. This woman is unstoppable, and there's nothing she can't do. Not one, not two, a publisher of 34 books and programs, including Sexual, Soulmates, Relationships, Magic, Revive Her Drive, Ravish Him, Ravish Her, Steamy Sex Ed, just to name a few. Miss Susan has been featured on New York Times and on CNBC and the Today Show, as well as frequent appearances on ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. So, help me welcome, without further ado, the incredible, amazing Miss Susan Bratton.
Hey, how you doing today?
Fantastic, Miss Susan. Thank you for joining us on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Ma'am, it is an honor to have you here on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on it. I like a gentleman.
Absolutely. Love a gentleman. It's nice. It's necessary. We are necessary. You are necessary. And we need what you're doing, because marriage is one of the ticking time bombs to really tell when a relationship is failing, when a marriage is failing. And you are the expert of experts. So I'm glad to have you here today. Miss Susan, I want to dive in. But before I do, you could do a number of different things. You do it all. You're an author, writer, CEO, founder. You've done it all. Why the focus? I got to ask, why the focus on intimacy and lovemaking in the bedroom? Why that focus?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, Marcus. I have been married 30 years to my beautiful husband, Sir Tim. And about 11 years into our marriage, we realized that we were very unhappy with each other. I wasn't feeling it for him anymore in the bedroom. And he was very upset about it. And he was kind of emotionally checked out and was having an affair with a woman who was also in what she considered to be a sexless marriage. And really, he was just trying to cope with the fact that he loved me and I was his best friend, and we had a beautiful daughter together. But I just didn't enjoy sex with him after a decade of having it. And hindsight's 2020. Really, what happened was that we just didn't know what we were doing. And the sex was, and by sex, I mean intercourse, was satisfying for him, but it wasn't satisfying for me. And I don't know if you've ever heard the term the orgasm gap. Have you heard that?
I have not.
Dr.
Tell
Lori
us.
Mintz did a TED talk on it where she talked about the gap between how easy it is for a man to achieve climax from intercourse and how difficult it is for a woman to. And that's what had happened to my husband and I. He had a great time when we had sex, and I wasn't satisfied. And so, after a decade of having unsatisfying sex, I mean, it was great when we first got together because there was new relationship energy. But those love chemicals don't carry you through. You've heard of the 7-year itch. That can happen as early as a few years or even a few months into a committed monogamous relationship. You've also seen people get divorced and the guy will date a younger woman and then he'll get remarried and then he'll get divorced from her and he'll date an even younger woman and get married to her and then get divorced from her because ultimately he's never satisfying any of his wives, and it's really not his fault. We're not given sex education. We're given abstinence education. We're given a little bit of anatomy. We're mostly given the fear of God put into us. Don't get pregnant, get, all this kind of stuff. We're not taught how to make love. People can make babies. We can kind of figure that out. But what I do now, and the reason I ended up being the intimacy expert to millions and publishing 35 books and programs, is that I didn't want to be I didn't want to be a sexologist or a psychotherapist or a marriage and family therapist. I didn't want to sit in a room all day with a couple that wasn't having sex and try to unwind all their childhood traumas and their angers and their relationship misfires and why she was mad at him and he was mad at her and the resentments and all that stuff. That sounded really boring to me. What I wanted to do was to teach people how to transform having sex into making love, how to have heart connected, conscious love making that's pleasurable for both partners in a way that you enjoy it more and more as you get older instead of less and less. So, what Tim and I did was we went to sex workshops. We live here in Northern California, in Marin County. We're kind of at the nexus of personal growth and sexual evolution. And we had access and the will to try to fix our sex life rather than get divorced and ruin our daughter's childhood. And I mean, I didn't. I wasn't happy with him in the bedroom, but I was happy with everything else about him. I could never have found a better husband. So we were determined to fix it. And we took a couple of workshops, and instantly our sex life got better. Instantly, I was satisfied with making love. And it's been getting better and better and better over time. And I'm 60 years old right now, and I've never had better sex in my life. So we realized, and I'll end this story so you can get another question in, Marcus, but we
Fine.
we realized that sex is a learned skill. These are learned skills that the more that you know, if you're a personal development mindset person, which I know you are because I've been listening to your episodes and the people that you have on, and you're a growth-minded person. And growth-minded people can apply that that mindset, that way of thinking to their sex life as well. And when you learn some fundamentals about the difference between the masculine and the feminine, some fundamentals about pleasuring, some fundamentals about sexual communication, then, and also how to overcome the things that happen to you as you age. The natural, we do get older. So, how do you keep your body in good shape so you enjoy your sexuality as well? When we learn those simple things, it just transforms everything. And when I tell men how women operate, they're like, really? I honestly did not know that. I just did not know that. Men are treating women the way they want to be treated. It's natural. Women are treating men the way they want to be treated. And if we just understand, we just walk a mile, in our partner's shoes. It makes all the difference in the world about how much satisfaction and connection and pleasure you can create. So that's how I got where I am, by writing all of those books and creating online programs so that anybody anywhere in the world could access information and not have to go to a sex workshop and take off their clothes and do crazy stuff like Tim and I did.
So much to unpack there. And I think this is a problem. This is a major problem because you're right. Right. Ultimately, you're right. We are taught to abstain from sex and not have it. So someone going into sex and going into marriage doesn't really understand that they're actually having bad sex. And so they don't know. So help us right now. Can you help us with just a few tips?
Yeah.
How can a young woman or a young man know that one, this is bad, this is not the norm, and two, you don't recommend, which is shocking, you don't recommend a sex workshop? So what is your recommendation as the expert? Please help us.
It's not that I don't recommend a sex workshop. It's just that most people, it would be so far out of their comfort zone that it takes a special person with a lot of, and their workshops can be very expensive. So no, of course I love sex workshops. I've been to so many sex workshops, and I publish the work of my sex workshop teachers. Often the programs that I've published are not just my work, but the work of people who I think are truly extraordinary. But I wanted people to be able to access programs in the privacy of their own home. And mostly what I started out with were pleasuring skills, teaching people the difference between the masculine and feminine anatomy. And this is really kind of, if I have to boil it all down and just tell you like the best things I could tell you right now. And believe me, I have so much information that I can tell you anything and give away my best stuff, and there's always more. So the beauty of what I do is that I don't have to ever hold anything back. I'll tell you anything you want to know, and I don't charge for it, because as soon as I like to call them little hinges that swing big doors. As soon as I give you one little technique and you do it and it works, you're like, I like that Susan Bratton. What else does she have? Give me some more. So the very first thing that I would say is that a lot of people think that it's their hormones that are keeping their libido tamped down. Like, oh, I don't have any more libido. My hormones are low, or what have you. And actually, it's not really your hormones that create low libido. It's actually your overall health and blood flow. This is why getting up and moving around and keeping your heart in good condition not only extends your longevity and keeps you from getting heart disease and having strokes, which are the things that kill us, but it also keeps your genitals in good working order. And for men, you have to think about, if you imagine a banana, you've got a picture of a banana in your mind. Absolutely. And you can very easily imagine that is a male appendage. Well, inside that banana, all the fruit of that banana is erectile tissue. And erectile tissue is spongy tissue that fills up with blood. And when it fills up with blood in the man's appendage, he becomes firm and he's able to penetrate. But when you think about a woman, you don't really think about her getting an erection. Yet we have, as women, as much erectile tissue inside our lady parts as our male-bodied partners do. However, they're more like an English muffin, where you got to get the muffin out of the bag, you got to slice the muffin open, you got to get out the toaster, you got to put it in the toaster, you got to press it down, it pops up, you're like, I want it a little bit more done. You press it down again, then it pops up, and then you get your butter out. Your butter's hard from being in the refrigerator, and you put the butter on the English muffin, and then you close it on top of each other so that the heat melts the butter into all the nooks and crannies. Well, all that time is what it took for all our butter to get in all our nooks and crannies. We, as the female bodied partner, are much slower to come to engorgement and arousal. And you, as a man, wouldn't want to make love if you weren't hard. But a woman is doing that all the time because, number one, he's ready to go and she's not, but she doesn't know it. So she rushes sex. She wants to get it over with because it's not that good for her because she's been rushing sex. So she's not achieving her full erectile potential. And if you think about a sensation, if you think about something small and soft and flaccid with a little bit of surface area and you touch it, it's going to be okay. But if you think about something that's full of blood and rigid and erect and you touch it, you've got a bigger surface area sending more pleasure signals to the brain. And so you're getting more pleasure. A woman actually needs to have a clitoral erection to really achieve her orgasmic potential. The other thing that happens, so we go too fast. Not enough foreplay, not enough hands-on the lady parts with massaging and touching, not enough full body touch, not enough kissing, not enough pleasuring of the breasts. So when you do that part of it and you spend the time really warming up and getting her turned on, she's going to have more pleasure. And when she's more satisfied, she's going to want sex more often. The other issue that happens, because he's ready before she is that when he's erect, he's ready to go, but she's not aroused. And so he forgets and he goes too fast and he doesn't turn around and come back and bring her along with him. So he makes her offers for sex. Hey, do you want to have sex? Instead of, how would you like a foot rub? Can I get you a glass of Chardonnay? Why don't I hold you on the couch and stroke your hair and kiss you while you watch your favorite show? Why don't I give you a full body massage in bed tonight and we'll just see where things go? Instead of the big ask, I like to tell guys to make the small offers, make her small offers and get her going, get her to start saying yes to small things and she'll start saying yes to bigger and bigger things. She's not ready. She's not where you are. So that's another piece of the puzzle that I think is very important, is that men are goal-oriented, single-minded, and ready to go. And women are in our heads, worried about a million things. We got to release our emotions first. We got to calm down and relax a little before we can be ready to go. And I am not saying that it's always the guy and always the woman who are like this. Different people have different experiences. But generally, in working with millions of people over the years, this is what I see. So that's number one. And then number two, that I think is very important, is that women think, oh, well, I'm just not the kind of woman who can have an orgasm from intercourse. And then her husband's like, well, I guess she just can't. When they don't understand that it's simply a learned skill and that most women don't naturally and automatically have an orgasm from intercourse, but that we are equally across the gender spectrum, both male and female bodied, able to have 20 kinds of orgasms from stimulating different locations, orgasms from different techniques, orgasms from using objects such as pleasuring toys. And people they barely scratch the surface of the pleasure potential that is possible, due literally to just not even knowing it's available to them. So when he thinks it's her fault and she thinks it's her fault, they give up, and then she's not satisfied and she doesn't want to have intercourse anymore. So if she understands that if they understand as couples, oh, we got to figure this out. Okay, what do we need to do? Oh, orgasmic cross training, engorgement, foreplay, sex toy. Got it. Genital massage. Oh, okay, we can do all those things. Oh, those things are fun. Let's make some dates that aren't sex dates, but are instead just dates to make love, just to enjoy each other, to warm each other up, to have fun. You net out more intercourse when you just back way down and start at the beginning together in learning the sexual skills as a couple.
Doctor, I'm gonna add doctor to your
I'm
title.
not one, though.
I,
I'm not
oh
a
my
doctor.
Oh my gosh, that is truly important, and I'm glad you said this and you mentioned this. The small ass, not the big ass, right?
Yeah.
Men,
Small
kill.
Yep.
Go in for the kill, go for the
Yeah.
hunt. Mission
Yeah.
oriented versus
Yeah.
the workup. That's
Yeah.
where the magic happens for
Yeah.
her.
Well, and this is another interesting thing, Marcus. And I know you talk, on your podcast, you're talking a lot about masculinity and masculine response and behavior. And one of the real disservices we do to men in our society, and I know you know this, but some of your listeners may not. Men are raised to stuff their emotions and to the only emotions that a man is allowed to have are like anger, victimhood, those kind of like strong emotions. And men work in a pecking order where you're either the winner or the loser. It's very binary in the masculine world. I'm either above you or below you, and I don't want to be below you. So what happens is that and men are testosterone dominant, which makes you horny every morning, and women aren't. They don't have that same testosterone bath that our male body partners get. And so he's ready to go. He's goal oriented. He's already 3 steps ahead. He's and testosterone makes men think they're better than they are. Men overestimate their skills. If you ask 1,000 men to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10 in the bedroom, they rate themselves a 7.7 on average. If you ask 1,000 women, they rate themselves a 6. Men think they're better than they are. Women think they're not as good as other people. It's the difference between being estrogen dominant and testosterone dominant. So what happens when a woman gives a man feedback in the bedroom? Oh, I don't like that. Don't do that. That's bothering me. That hurts. Could you do it harder? Could you do it softer? Whatever. And his first reaction is to contract because he's doing it wrong. And his number one thing is, I want to give her incredible pleasure. I want to be the winner. I want to do it right. And when you tell me something, I take it as a personal criticism. So now it is no longer safe for her to tell you anything because you're just going to act like a big old baby and get all hurt and have a little shit fit. And it's not even worth telling you because I can't even stand having to go through it. So I just don't say anything. And then you think you're doing a good job or you think you're giving me pleasure, but really I'm just lying there thinking, how soon is this going to be over? So and if guys understand that when we get that we're different every day, men are much more steady state. Women are very changing because our hormones run on a 28-day cycle. Sometimes we're horny, like the 9 days after our period, we run into our 5-day horny window. And if you don't know when that is, count 9 days after the full moon. And it happens even after menopause. We're hornier 9 days after the full moon than we are any other time. So you got to start working on us and leading us up to it. And the thing is that if you can use, I have a free technique for your listeners. It's called the Sexual Soulmate Pact, PACT, like an agreement. And basically, I don't know if I have my book here or not. Sometimes I have them here in my studio. Yeah. Here we go. I'll hold it up so you can see it. This is a book I wrote called Sexual Soulmates, the 6 Essentials to Connected Sex. And one of the 6 essentials is being able to ask for anything that you need in every moment in the bedroom. And when you can start saying whatever it is that you need, both of you, when you can really communicate your needs, no matter what they are, in any way that you need to, and your lover doesn't take it personally, they're just like, oh, that's more feedback. That helps me become a winner, not a loser. When a guy doesn't collapse from feedback when he steps into and wants more feedback, and women too, then you start to get really good in bed together. Then things get super sexy and hot. So you can get this technique and how to talk to your partner about it and how it works and how to practice it. It takes a little practice. It's an easy technique. It's an agreement, and you can print it out, download it. You can both read it and you can try it and decide that you want to be those kind of people who can say anything you need to your partner, and your partner's going to be like, thank you, baby. Oh yeah, I can do it lighter. Oh, hey, does this feel better? Oh, sorry, I was on your hair. Sorry, babe. That is a real trick when you begin to have the sexual soulmate pact and the fluid communication in the bedroom for your needs in the moment. That really changes everything up. Then you can also start to talk outside the bedroom about things that might not be right in your relationship, or you're not getting a values match or not getting your needs met in relationship. Because when you treat her the way you want to be treated and she's treating you the way she wants to be treated, neither of you are getting treated the way you really want to be treated, because we're different people. And so that's what the sexual soulmate pact does. It really verbally empowers you to have great sex.
And where can we get the book?
Sexualsoulmatepact.com.
Love it. Love
and
it.
It's a free download.
Free.
Yeah.
Hear it there, y'all. Free. This is a free, I'm going to call it marriage saver. This is a free relationship saver. Yeah. This is powerful. We have one quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere, y'all. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Support for Gentleman Style Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers you precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code GENTSTYLE at manscaped.com.
We are back, y'all. We have the incredible, amazing, unsurmountable Susan Bratton. And she just broke it down, y'all. The scientist, you should have just heard her earlier. She was just breaking down the sciences, the difference between men and women when it comes to sexual arousal, intimacy, and the difference between men and our go-get-em attitude, get it done attitude. And women need to be loved and nurtured and matured into sex and walked into sex and loved into sex. The foreplay, we've all heard it. We just don't do it very well because we've been taught differently. Well, Miss Bratton is here to break the mold. She's here to break these myths right here on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Miss Bratton, you are incredible. I want to talk about sex toys. When should we introduce toys? Is that a part of the foreplay experience? Or should those kind of stay where they are, when I need a fix, let me get my fix and then move on?
Well, there are 3. Remember I was talking about the 20 different kinds of orgasms that we can have, no matter whether we're a male body or a female body. There are locations you can stimulate. Breasts, nipples, penis, clitoris, G-spot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there are techniques such as G-spot pleasuring, expanded orgasm, erotic hypnosis, things like that. And then there are objects, toys, and tools that add pleasure. And I think it's good to have all 3 things going simultaneously, because I always I have a silly little phrase that couples that play together stay together, especially in the bedroom. And one of the reasons that couples stop having really hot sex is that they just do the same thing over and over again. They get into a well-worn groove and they just have this certain process that they do, and they always pretty much do the same thing. And a part of the reason couples do that is that it's kind of their go-to move that they know that they'll be able to have orgasms from. So it's what they do, but they're not orgasmic cross-training. They're not expanding their orgasmic potential by trying to create new neural pathways to pleasure and new ways to experience pleasure. So sex toys are a really important part of today's modern sexuality, not just for solo pleasuring, but for lovemaking with your partner. There are a lot of different types of vibrators and sex toys for women's pleasure and men's pleasure now. And one of my favorites is the penis ring, or cock ring, as most people call it. And there are two that I really like a lot. One is, let me see, I even have URLs for you for these, because sometimes people are like, tell me exactly what that thing was you were talking about again. So hang on, I've got it right here, and I'll want to tell it to you. The first one is at cockringvibe.com. And Marcus, do you put show notes? Do you put links in your show notes?
I do.
Okay, great. So Cock Ring Vibe is a very small, stretchy ring that goes around the shaft of the penis. And then it has little ears that stick up. And when you're penetrating your woman, she can kind of grind on you and give you pleasure. She can also just hold the ring on her clitoris while you're penetrating her, maybe off the edge of the bed or doggy style or what have you. You don't have to wear it on the penis. It's a good solution for people who want to have something that's a small, low profile, high, really nice, strong vibrator, cock ring vibe. So that's one. But then there's another kind of a cock ring that's a double vibrator that both has the top vibe for her pleasure, and it has a vibrator along the bottom, and you actually put all your junk in it. You slide it down over your penis and your testicles, and you do it flaccid and then get an erection. And that gives you a little buzzing underneath your testicles so that you're getting kind of a prostate stimulation while she's getting a clitoral stimulation, which is expanding your pleasure. Now, for guys that are, and that's at Cock Ball Vibe, because it does your cock and your balls, and it has a vibrator.
It's simple.
Cockballvibe.com. And what's nice about that one is it's really good for men that are experiencing delayed ejaculation, sensitivity loss, or who want to explore prostate stimulation. It's an external vibrator. It doesn't go inside, but it still goes through the perineal area to jiggle the P spot, the man's G spot. And it has a remote control so that she can kind of turn it up as she goes and get more and more vibration. So those are two, one or the other are, I think, the very, very, very first thing you should do as a couple to introduce a toy into your lovemaking, your intercourse pleasure. I like those a lot, but there's tons of different things that are out there now that are so much fun. You should have a lot of toys in your toy box. You should solo pleasure, and you should use them during lovemaking.
So I'm stuck on give her the controls. So give her the controls to crank it up or dial it back. Dial it back as necessary throughout intercourse.
Well, you guys can fight over the remote just like you do with the TV remote if you want to. Whoever is better at pushing the buttons is okay with me.
That's too much work right there. That's concentration. I'm gonna drop the remote, step on it, and yeah. So powerful. Thank you for speaking on that, because that is such a taboo thing. We don't talk about it enough because we're scared. We don't mention it. We don't bring it up. Again, we lack the education around it, and so that's important. When in the marriage, in the relationship, when should I introduce bigger steps, like do I want to explore the boundaries of a threesome or costume or role playing? When are those things introduced in lovemaking, if at all?
Right away, all the time. when you get off on the right foot with your sex life and you have a very open communication channel and you're always talking about your fantasies, I mean, the thing is that as we mature, our sexuality matures. And the things we want to do at 20 are going to be different than 30, than 40, than 50, than 60, than 70, than 80, than 90. And we are sexual beings our entire life. And our sex life can keep getting better and better, and we can have richer and more new experiences. There's so many. I literally have things I haven't tried yet that are still on my list. And one of the things I'm working on right now is creating essentially a sexual bucket list, helping people create a sexual bucket list by giving them bunches of ideas of things that could be fun to do. Because what I've found is that people not only don't understand the possibility, they don't have many good ideas of their own. But I can tell you that all those good ideas are in you if you allow yourself to think about them and let them come out. You don't need external influences. You don't need to watch pornography, which is really not where you'd want to learn about sex between lovers. That's not lovemaking. What you want to do is explore what turns you on as you mature and what's different and new and exciting to you. So it could be that you're very interested in doing lingerie fashion shows or learning how wearing sexy high heels in bed or learning how to do a sexy dance or a floor show or some pole dancing or a lap dance with your partner. It could be that you are a little bit of an exhibitionist and you would like to go out and maybe possibly get caught having sex somewhere. There are a lot of people who are really exhibitionists. There are people who are interested in group sex. They want to go to an orgy or a sex party, maybe not to even have sex with other people, but just to have sex with their partner in a party. Or maybe they want to have a threesome where there's a couple that's a friends of theirs that they think are really sexy, and they don't necessarily want to swap partners or have sex with the other person, but want to do parallel play where they get to go where you make love together. Maybe you build a big fire and you lay down take the mattress off the bed and put it in front of the fire and get all your pillows out, and you make love to your wife or husband and they make love to their wife or husband, and you just get off on listening to each other and watching each other and seeing what each other do. I mean, that's a reasonable thing to try. Sex in new locations, new sex positions. I actually have a funny sex position. It's called Come Full Circle. It's free and it's at CUMFULLCIRCLE. And it's a double helix sex position where basically you do a 360-degree turn while you're penetrating, while you're having intercourse, and you roll over and then you put your leg here and then you do doggy and then you do this. And it's a little illustrated cartoon guide. I had it illustrated so you could see what each step was. It's just something fun to do on a, Friday night. Hey, let's go do that come full circle 360-degree sex position tonight after dinner. It's like, okay, I'll give it a try. It's tame, but it's also ridiculous and fun. I mean, if you're not taking risks and you're not doing silly things, I mean, the best sexual memories aren't when everything went right. They're usually when something silly happened or, whatever, a mistake was made. If they're not mistakes, that's just the learning, the growth that keeps the new relationship energy going so you don't suffer from the boredom in the bedroom.
Make sure you stretch, y'all. Stretch. I just heard it, and I was just
going.
Get them going. Just stretch. Please do not get hurt and come after Ms. Bratton at all. Practice, stretch it out, work it out. But this is how you save. These are the tips that you save that dying passion, that fire going out. Ms. Bratton, one of the things that you teach to, is you talk about some of the supplements, right?
Yeah.
There's a medical problem, right? That's a medical issue when men can't satisfy their women as well. Mm-hmm. But you also speak to this in your writings. What is some of the best libido supplements from the botanical bounty that you recommend men who suffer from not pleasuring their women?
Well, there are different things for erectile dysfunction than there are for supporting libido and desire and arousal. Um, the erectile dysfunction is the most common type of ED is something called venous leak. And the way the penis works, it fills with blood upon arousal. And when the blood gets full in the penis, it locks off so it can't flow back out. It locks off the smooth muscle tissue. And that's what keeps the erection firm. But what happens is that, and it's interesting that you get fatty deposits in your blood system, in your vascular system, and then they calcify and get stiff. And then you can't get the blood to stay in. It can't lock off. It doesn't have that flexibility anymore. And so you get bendy. The best thing to get rid of that is either a Gainswave series of treatments, which are an acoustic sound wave that's administered to the penile tissue that knocks the plaque off the arteries in the penis and stimulates new tissue growth to reverse the atrophy or the shrinkage that comes from aging. You know how when you're old, you're tiny, like you get little and shriveled? Well, that's happening to your genitals as it's happening to the rest of you. So to reverse that atrophy, you would use Gainswave treatments. If you don't use Gainswave, you can take an at-home device. It's called the Phoenix. And it's funny, the URL is dicklifter.com. And that's an at-home device for people that want to just do it themselves. Some guys are like, I just want it taken care of by a professional. Other guys are like, I need the tool. I'm going to do that myself at my home. And that's the at-home acoustic device at dicklifter.com. And that's one thing. But also a lot of guys take Viagra. And Viagra's good. It helps. But a lot of guys have to take a fair amount of it. The typical dose is 60 milligrams. And the problem is that guys get headaches, sinus headaches, their eyes can bother them. And instead, you can often go down to a mini dose or even a micro dose of a little bit of Viagra. You take a little quarter of a tab and you chew it up and put it under your tongue sublingually before sex. And then it's such a small amount, you don't get the side effects if you also take a nitric oxide supplement with the Viagra. And if you take a nitric oxide supplement every day, it helps restore your nitric oxide levels so that you can get the blood pumping into your penis. So the very first thing any guy should do if he's starting to feel a little bendy, having trouble staying hard, getting harder staying hard, is get on a nitric oxide booster. That's one of the products that I make at my company. It's called Flow. And you can go to buyflownow.com, and that's my lowest price, special discount, free shipping, because I'm on a podcast. And that's good for men and women, because if your husband has ED, you do too. You just can't tell, but you're losing sensation. Your orgasm is diminishing. You're not getting the vaginal lubrication you used to get because you have lower blood flow to your genitals. So that's number one. And then number two is libido botanicals. Here are the 5 that are the ones that are both studied with clinical data, but are also the ones that have been used by people for thousands and thousands of years, that are the indigenous plants of our forebears who also had these problems. The first one is maca, the Peruvian root. The second is cacao, which is dark chocolate. The third is Tribulus terrestris, which is a little yellow Mediterranean flower that was used by the people in the Mediterranean areas. The next is fenugreek, and that is actually, it actually will make you taste like maple syrup. It's a really nice smelling one. It's fenugreek is the Ayurvedic or the Indian libido botanical. And the last is the one from Asia, Southeast Asia, and that's Tongkat Ali. And those 5, the thing about libido botanicals is that if you take them all the time, their efficacy wears off. So if you cycle through the libido botanicals and you take one for a month and then the next one for a month and the next one for a month and the next one for a month, except for the chocolate, you can eat the chocolate all the time. That really, it keeps your hormones working, your blood flowing, etc. You need testosterone for a firm erection. And for women, we need our testosterone for desire. That is interesting that older women who've gone through menopause and whose estrogen have lowered, the ratio of testosterone to estrogen becomes higher. And a lot of women who go through midlife are actually feeling hornier than ever. They feel more desire, not less desire. A lot of people think that when you go through menopause, you're not as turned on and horny anymore. But that's not actually true. What the loss of estrogen does is it thins the vaginal tissue and can make the vagina sensitive, a little too sensitive. And so for that, she can use good lubricants, organic avocado oil, sweet almond oil. She can use a V-Fit, which is a red light therapy device that goes inside her vagina to rebuild the vaginal tissue. So there are many things that women can do to get around the problem of loss of lubrication. You take nitric oxide because it's not hormones that create lubrication. So it's very interesting when you start to think about devices that keep your sexual function good, supplements that keep your sexual function good, and just good old eating your greens and getting your exercise.
I told y'all, powerhouse speaker, the expert of all experts today. Miss Bratton, how can my audience connect with you? How can we learn more? How can we continue to learn more and grow with you as your company grows?
Well, I think I mentioned a few things. I mentioned the Sexual Soulmate Pact. I think that's a really, I mean, if I'm going to give you one good sex technique, it's just going to be how to communicate your needs in the bedroom because they change all the time. So I would download the Sexual Soulmate Pact and you'll automatically be on my email list. I send out sex tips every week. Right now I'm doing a series called Making Whoopee 3.0. And I'm giving away all kinds of interesting techniques. Glissando is my latest technique for lovemaking. So that's a good way to connect with me. And then I'm on Instagram at Susan Bratton. Yeah, you're so fast at this. At Susan Bratton on Instagram. And I have a video website called betterlover.com. And on that, I have over 200 videos on pretty much all of the things I've talked about and about 200 other things. So there's always more to learn with sexuality and always more pleasure to be had. And I'm happy to have you in my world in any way you'd like to be.
There we have it, y'all. There we have it. You have no excuse. You have no more excuse to let your partner down in the bedroom and to not satisfy him or her. And if you are letting them down, connect. That's the goal of this show, is to bring experts like Miss Bratton on to help us make better love. And get to a better place and get to a better, longer lasting relationship, marriage, and a happy sex life. Ms. Bratton, I thank you so much for being on the Gentleman Style Podcast show. You have served me. You have dropped many nuggets tonight. Good. Tremendous nuggets tonight. If you're the young woman, the young man in the audience, if you had one more nugget, one more tip to tell them, what would you say to them right now?
I download my Dirty Talk book at dirtytalkbook.com. And the reason that I would is that there are some really good ways to talk in the bedroom that aren't actually dirty, that aren't weird, that aren't nasty. And too often we don't know what to say. And in that book, I tell you what to say to share the experience that you're having with your partner, to say what you see, to tell sexy stories, how to moan and give verbal feedback, how to do something I call sharing frames, getting vocal. I've asked you to communicate, but I also want you to have some sexy talk. And use your hands. Use your hands a lot. Make sure that you're not just focused on your genitals, but you're spreading the pleasure on all of the body. I think those three things, being able to ask for what you want and not feeling like it's being criticism when someone's asking for what they want, being able to say sexy things, words of encouragement and appreciation during sex, and really using full body pleasure. Those three things I think are really helpful to make you a better lover.
And don't be awkward like me, y'all, where you just say the wrong thing. There's the wrong things and there's sexy things. So connect with Ms. Bratton so you can say the right things at the right time, because that's important too. Timing. You don't want to sit there while she's, coming home from a hot day, or maybe she is. I don't know. You gotta connect with Miss Susan Bratton and her team and connect. Miss Bratton, you have been phenomenal. Absolutely amazing.
Thanks, Marcus. Thanks for having me. It's been so nice to meet you, and I really do appreciate you and the work you do in the world. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you all, my audience, for tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I hope this has helped. I hope this really helps turn things around in your marriage and in your sex life, because it is important and it's necessary. And so I want to end the show. Thank you all for tuning in to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Ms. Bratton, thank you for what you do. You are necessary and needed, and don't ever give up. We need you, please. So like I end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, your favorite host, and the incredible, amazing Miss Bratton. Signing off. Love you guys. Bye.